During my time, their tolerance increased greatly, even to the point that more data collection could be carried out on a regular basis. I wouldn't see the bonobos straight away, as I needed to learn the forest and stay in quarantine to avoid transmitting any outside illnesses I may have brought in with me. Since the bonobos are so closely related to us, they can catch pretty much all the illnesses brought into the forest with us. But since they don't have any immunity to the foreign illnesses, something as simple as the common cold can be catastrophic. Even once cleared to go into the forest, we always wore surgical masks and kept 7 meters from the group. Since there are 2 communities, there are also 2 sets of researchers, one team for East and one for West. Since habituation was still ongoing and no real data was collected, it was just Catherine and I who worked on the East side, and later Leanne and I, while everyone else was collecting data on the fully habituated, and to me less interesting, West side. Since it was just the 2 of us, we were always out with the bonobos every shift we had, whereas West side had to work on the rota system. This meant that I got to have a more personal experience, feeling privileged to be one of the few people who got to know these special apes. Once my luggage had arrived, I set up my new home for the next 9 months, and I was lucky in selecting my location, as I now managed the largest tent area, which Charlotte had just left. The way it had been built meant it was double the size of the other tent areas, but could only house 1 tent due to it backing onto the depot. This meant while I had plenty of room to place my equipment and eventually build a patio, I did have a noisy area, as I would later find out. When people leave early morning, they have to get items from the depot, and as my head lay against the depot, it would often wake me up at 3 AM on my days off. The rest of my first day was spent peeling peanuts while talking to one of the few researchers in camp. I learned from Martin, the original habituator of the West Side, and now a postdoc, about what wildlife I would expect to see. Since I love birding and Martin was a keen birder, I mostly learned what avian wonders I might encounter during my time there. Before leaving, I'd read Ivory, Apes and Peacocks by Alan Root, in which he describes his quest to film the Congo peacock in the wild. I had seen my bird book that the position in the Congo was at the edge of the peacock's range, so even though the tales had intrigued me, I didn't hold out much hope of seeing one. However, when Martin told me that everyone in camp had seen at least one, I became overjoyed. It would take me a few months, though, to actually see one, but I did often hear them calling out during my morning walks in the forest.